Alright, I already explained how lung implants will get into the front of your chest. So you need to put weight onto your chest and focus on lifting from the area in your chest. Lung implants will also get into the muscles that are in between your ribs. And then they expand to develop all around your heart, for example. So when these large lung implants form, they will line your rib cage. And they'll lie dormant for a while. But when they start turning up the energy levels on you, they'll begin to hurt your lungs whenever you go to take a real deep breath of air. And then they'll get so bad, they'll cause severe pain whenever you try to exercise or even move around. So these lung implants will lie dormant and slowly build up over time. And you won't even know that you have them until you are hit with the radio frequency weapons on high one day. So in my case, as I explained, the military let these implants build up over 2 years. And these lung implants had been hard to detect because they weren't like the hard round implants that I was used to, and I could pinpoint much easier. So what happened is that the plasma had slowly built up in me over time and had conformed to the size of my ribs in one large network of implants. And since these implants had built up slowly over time, these implants had convinced me that my chest cavity was a lot smaller than what it was. So I gradually took shallow and more shallow breaths over time as I allowed these implants to develop. So without knowing it, I had let them build up for 2 years when the military kept the machines off of high. And when they finally blasted me and activated all those implants at once, first off, it was very difficult to breathe. And second, I noticed that there were a few hard implants within the masses of plasma that were in the round shape. So the spaces between these hard implants were being filled in with plasma. So the whole area in your body becomes like one large implant. So for example, a network of implants will form by connecting a large implant behind your ear with another one in your shoulder. That will connect to a larger implant around your armpit area, which will connect to another one farther down in your rib cage. And then the plasma will build up all between these points and create something like a giant implant that will give you some trouble if you do not remove it. So I realized that I had a big problem when I went out for a jog one day and could barely run without causing a lot of pain. And when I started taking really deep breaths, it began to hurt to breathe. So I really had to concentrate on spending a lot of time clearing up the sides of my rib cage, or else I would have trouble breathing, exercising, and even moving around. So I had to meditate for about a week, using the U-breath to breathe farther and farther into the sides of my ribs, working to remove all the plasma that had built up on the sides of my body. So I used the leaning positions and also the side positions. But it also helped to rotate, to pull up on these implants from all different angles because they had formed all over my upper body. And even though it was painful to take these large breaths, I still had to endure it and breathe deeply into those painful areas, especially in these highly concentrated areas that had formed hardened implants. Even though it hurt to breathe into those areas, I still had to endure the pain in order to breathe into those areas, put pressure on those areas, and remove the implants. So I first started rotating positions, and when it got easier to breathe and put pressure on my sides, I would shift my body's weight onto the sides by getting into a leaning prone position. So I was pressing on the far sides of my rib cage and then using the U-breath to lift all the plasma and implants out of the area. And then I would also turn on my sides and then my back and on my front, so I would rotate positions to apply and then remove pressure to different areas of my lungs, chest, and ribs as I worked to remove these implants. So from then on in, I was conscious of this tactic and worked to breathe correctly and use the different positions of meditation so they would not form again. So you must remember to breathe up and down the sides of your body, and you use the U-breath to lift from these areas. And you also want to press down using your body's weight to press on these areas too. And since these implants are all connected, it helps to get on your back too and lift from your shoulders area. You want to lift from both of your shoulders simultaneously. You can also do this while exercising, like jogging or taking a walk. So imagine your inhale as 2 shoots of air going down both sides of your body at once. That way you can lift from both sides of your body at once. So you want to lift from the sides of your chest, you want to lift from your shoulders. So you could do this while exercising like jogging, or you could do this by rotating positions. So you will focus on putting pressure and lifting from the sides of your rib cage, your shoulders, and also around your front and your chest, around where your pectoral muscle is. Because often these implants will wrap around your whole chest in these networks like I described. So as you clear more of your sides and your chest, your lungs will start to open up more and become wider and give you a much deeper breath. So it's very important to use the leaning position, the leaning left position, to put pressure on your left side and remove the buildups around your heart area. So I'll discuss more about these networks of implants that form along the sides of your body in the next section called snake bites. Alright, your diaphragm is a dome-shaped sheet of muscle between your lungs that separates the chest cavity from the stomach and helps to move the air in and out of the lungs. So when you inhale, the diaphragm contracts and allows your lungs to expand with air, and then when you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes, it springs back up, and it pushes up on your lungs and forces the air out. So a network of implants can also form on your diaphragm, and it will feel like a band around your midsection and cause difficulty breathing. So these agents are taught to breathe irregularly while linked to you. So they will inhale all the way and then hold their breath, or they will exhale when you are trying to inhale. So when you have a mutual diaphragm implant, it's going to throw your breathing off. So this will create a strange feeling because you are sensing their diaphragm that is behaving in opposition to yours. So it makes it difficult to breathe with ease. And a big trick that is played with these diaphragm implants is to cause a shortness of breath sensation in the target. So what happens is that you end up taking a deep breath, but then due to these diaphragm implants, you only exhale a little bit. So without knowing it, you're keeping a large amount of air in your lungs. So when you go to inhale again, surprise, you can't inhale. You have lost your ability to breathe. You have shortness of breath. No, not really. You have just failed to exhale all of the way. So when you go to inhale, the air is already in your lungs. And this obviously prevents you from inhaling anymore. So if this ever happens to you and you get shortness of breath, really focus on exhaling all of the way. And you exhale until you cannot exhale anymore. Then when you inhale, you will find that you could inhale perfectly. And it's just another trick that GRAIL implants utilize to put people into a panic state during a radio frequency attack. On a side note, I think this is why they will give people little paper bags to breathe in and out of when they would complain of shortness of breath. Because some people start gasping for air with their lungs already filled with air because they did not exhale all of the way. So the paper bag reminds the people to exhale all of the way. They see the paper bag filling up with air before inhaling again. So it's best to lay flat on your stomach in a prone position to apply pressure on your lungs and diaphragm area and just breathe up and down the front of your body. You can also use the leaning left or right positions to also put pressure onto that area. And just use the U breath to clear yourself of the buildups in your diaphragm area that is around your midsection, directly between your chest and stomach.